Did you ever dream of becoming a professional athlete? Brandon Lowery, today's guest, grew up dreaming of becoming a professional skateboarder. He ended up becoming a professional soccer player. After a devastating injury shortened Brandon's soccer career, he has since risen to the top of the sports world. Today, he shares with us what it was like to become a professional soccer player, the lessons learned, and his unique outlook and mindset on life. He also shares a piece of sporting technology that Brandon believes is going to change where we choose to live and to work. So stick around. You're going to love this episode. Boundary Breakers is brought to you by Carter and Clark. If it's all right with you, what I'd love to do is I'd love to just spend a minute or two on just a little bit about your background, sort of origin story, just so our viewers can understand sort of, who you are, and then would love to talk about your athletic career in professional soccer. And then if you could share a little bit about your professional career in Australia with private equity, and then would love to just dig a little deep into action sports, and with you being on the board of the U.S. Olympic skateboarding team, and just share your passion and experience with that, and then hopefully at the end we can talk a little bit about your thoughts on why sports are so important and the lifelong lessons that can be learned in sports that are also applicable in business or just later on in life. So if that works for you, we can rock and roll.
That works.
Awesome. So you mind just sort of giving us a minute or two on your background, growing up in North Carolina, and sort of how you got into soccer?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Brandon Lowery. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm originally.
That may help. That may help to give you an introduction, right?
Yeah. So I'm Brandon Lowery. I'm originally from North Carolina. I grew up between the mountains, so Banner Elk, Boone, North Carolina, and then Charlotte, Gastonia area.
Yeah.
I've always been into sports. Privileged my parents let me, play all the sports and do all the things, and I kept making teams playing soccer. I had a lot of good teammates, and they made me better. And I played a lot of tennis also. So I played a lot of competitive tennis, and I played a lot of competitive soccer. But I've always been on board sports. I grew up skateboarding and riding my snowboard in the winter and surfing in the summer. So board sports have always been my passion. But I excelled in soccer and tennis. And then soccer was a vehicle that took me around the world. I played all around the planet. And then I was in an academy down in Florida. I spent time training in France and Paris. And then I was in Sunderland and Middlesbrough in England. And that was all before college. So I didn't go pro because I wanted to go to college. If you sign a professional contract, you have to forfeit your collegiate rights. So I came back to the United States and ended up in a school in South Carolina, and I played Division I sports there. It's a great experience. I was always on campus because we had, summer training, and then you had training over the winter time too. So because I was always on campus and I was a privileged full scholarship athlete, I studied and took advantage of the school system.
Awesome.
And I ended up with degrees in economics, finance, and accounting.
Wow.
So that was and my mom's a teacher. So I was always taught to be studious, and I was always taught that I was a student athlete, and I still preach that, student athletes, because you never know what happens, such as having injuries.
Yeah.
That's put it all in. So it's good to be mindful and educate yourself, in my opinion. So I'm grateful my parents pushed that on me and made me realize that my education is just as important as my athletic career that I was pursuing. Not after university, I got the chance to go play at the next level somewhere around the planet. And I've been to Australia a couple times to surf and skate, and I had a lot of good friends over there. So I had the opportunity to go play in Australia. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to Sydney. And I moved to Sydney.
Nice.
And I played competitive soccer and competitive tennis, but I surf, skate, snowboard. And then I guess like my second or third year in Australia, I snapped my leg in half at the skate park. and that was the end of like competitive sports
Oh
for
man.
me. So yeah, it was. I mean, people had worse injuries. I ended up pretty bad in a wheelchair. When I dislocated my knee, it did like all four ligaments in my knee. My hamstring ripped off the bone. The IT band snapped, and the dislocation cut the nerve in the artery. So I had like a paralysis.
Oh my
So it's pretty
gosh.
heavy. But I had good people around me and worked my way out of that. But I was committed to learn how to do kickflips again. So I had to get my switch kickflip back so I can skate. And that was the kind of part of the driver to get healthy
I love it.
and, keep my mind right and just kind of reimagine my identity and my value and what I can contribute to culture and the community. And it's been a blessing that incident kind of calibrated my trajectory, and
Wow.
it put me in a different position to be like in the boardroom as opposed to just being on a board.
Right.
Right. So
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
love what I'm doing now. It couldn't have been a better set of circumstances that put me in this position, and I'm so grateful for it. But sport taught me good habits, and sport taught me lifestyle and culture and perspective. And yeah, now I've had the privilege of doing a lot of different private equity projects and real estate projects. And I never thought I'd use the word. I've been a government official, but working for the Olympic Committee is a government job. When you're a
Oh, nice.
national governing body, it's actually government.
Wow. Interesting. I did not
So
know that.
yeah, it's been a exciting journey. As now I'm here. Yeah, 38. I'm 38. And I'm living
38.
in California now.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. That was a perfect synopsis of your background. So you played soccer at Wofford. Is that right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I graduated from the Citadel.
Oh,
I
right on.
played football at the Citadel. Yeah. So
Wofford.
we were, yeah, I know Wofford well.
Yeah.
My brother went to Furman. So,
Okay.
and my wife's from Greenville, South Carolina. So yeah,
Easy.
we spent a bunch of time in Greenville, but Wofford is a great school. So tell us a little bit, for those that are curious about what's life like as a professional soccer player. So you got out of Wofford, went play professionally. What's life like?
Practice. Period.
That's
all
all
you
you do.
do is practice and watch film and practice and eat well and practice and practice and practice, because you don't rise to the occasion. You kind of settle from what you prepared for.
Mm.
So all the magic happens in practice. Like, we practice to exhaustion, because then it just kind of manifests itself in the field during game time.
Yeah.
So I was privileged to be taught that from day one. So all we do and all I do now is put the work in physically, mentally, emotionally, for when it's game time, either on the pitch or on a tennis court or in a boardroom or in a meeting. It's comfortable, and
Right.
that's how I was raised as an athlete, to train hard, put the work in, focus on endurance, focus on mindset, perspective, and you just train to exhaustion. And then when it's game time, it's comfortable and casual.
I love
Still
that.
got to show up and perform, because like you have these, this energy is a little different when the lights get flicked on, but it's all about, it happens in practice.
I love
And
that.
I transferred that to my day-to-day lifestyle now, and how we raise our kids. So they understand that the magic happens when nobody's paying attention. And then everybody's watching. It seems casual, but it's hours and days and years of intentional training and practice.
Oh, I love that. And shoot, that like you said, that applies in so many other areas, right? Not just in sports, but in everything that anybody ever wants to
Anything
exceed.
you do.
Yeah.
Nothing happens by accident.
For sure. So what was, how different, I'm making an assumption here. I'm making an assumption that it was extraordinarily different, but how different was it between sort of life as on the Wofford soccer team versus playing professionally? I mean, is it as night and day as you might?
No, the people you play with when you climb the ranks, you've grown up playing with them, or you know of them. Like, sports an ecosystem. So you don't like all of a sudden discover new talent and meet them when you go from college, or go from club to college, or the Olympic development program to university, or university out to development programs, or like everybody kind of knows each other in sport because it's a community. So you cross paths, even if you don't speak the same language, you kind of know of each other. You watch tape, you watch film, or you're familiar. You've played against each other. You got mutual friends. Like, it's a culture. It's a community.
Yeah.
So the only thing, in my opinion, this is in everything. The difference between like amateurs and pros, two things I think: the choices they make and the speed at which they execute.
Mm.
Because nobody's more talented. Everybody just makes better choices in the boardroom, on the soccer field, on the tennis court. And then everybody has the luxury of making a choice or a judgment call.
Mm.
And the guys who are the best in the world make better choices in critical situations, and they play quicker because their instincts have improved, right?
Right.
And they've developed these habits and ways of maneuvering that make them stand out from the competition. And that's what you're taught: how to think, how to maneuver, how to build your instincts so you play more efficiently, more effectively, make better judgment calls, and you can always get better. So we're always striving to get like at least 1% better every single day. And then you reflect on the choices you made, not to be emotionally distraught from them, but to pull the wisdom so you make better choices going forward.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting.
That's it.
And I love that. In your experience, do you feel like those are things that are teachable or coachable, or is there some level of sort of innate instinct that you've got to have in order to be elite in those things?
I'm a believer at the elite level, a fundamental principle is to be fit for duty, whether you're in the war or in the corporate arena or as an athlete. Like, fitness and resilience and endurance and stamina, that's critical, because you can get dill fatigue or you get fatigue from running down the field. It's all the same difference. And then I'm a believer in programming. So I totally believe you can program people to have a mindset to always look to improve and get better, to reflect on the choices, to make better choices, to study patterns and habits so you can become more optimized and efficient at what you do. So I think talent can be taught, because I think talent's a function of choices and decisions, and those are predicated on your habits.
Yep.
And I'm a deep believer that you can develop talent and cultivate, opportunity, but you have to have the right mindset. And I think you have to have the right environment, and you're going to be a manifestation of who you surround yourself with.
Wow, that is extremely insightful. And look, you're speaking my language. I have always been in love with sports of all types. And I mean, I may not be very good at any of them, but I've always loved sports. And to this day, I'm the CEO of a business out of Atlanta, and to this day, the issues and scenarios and practice that we put in at the executive level is not very far removed from the issues and mindset and practice and things that I have been working on with teammates or in practice for individual sports my entire life. And I believe that sports are a microcosm of business or of life, and that there's so much to be, so many integral lessons that are learned, particularly at a very young age, in sports that apply forever. How to be a good teammate, what it means to be a teammate. And so I'm really, really interested in hearing more about this and your experience and thoughts about all this. So speaking of sort of transitioning, right? You went from, after the injury, from professional soccer to the world of private equity in Australia. Is that right?
Yeah. So that happened because along my entire experience, journey, adventure, I've always launched new projects or been like inspired to do something, build something, work on something with good people. And you need capital. You need money to do things. You can be resourceful. I believe in that wholeheartedly, but you also need resources. And it seems that a lot of people are find it difficult to raise capital, or it's awkward or uncomfortable to ask for money, or at least that was my belief system for a while, So for some reason, I have this addiction to doing hard things
Yeah.
because I become more through the exercise. So I set these obnoxiously ridiculous goals because I can become more as I grow and develop. And that's kind of how I set my goals and targets. Things that are like, fuck, this is pretty tricky, but let's figure out how to solve for it. Because if I can figure that out, I'll become more than I was because I'm further ahead than I had been.
Wow.
So that's kind of like the mindset on these things. So it's like, we need money. We got to get money. Like, we got to figure out how to raise capital and be able to underwrite our own deals and figure out how to create this ecosystem of resources so we aren't always chasing dollars. So my day job, I feel as if since 2008 or 9 has been securing resources to go execute initiatives. And part of the capital you need is cash and liquidity. And I always have to figure out how to raise money or create liquidity or run the cash register or make profits and create liquidity events. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm not a developer or a CEO or an operator. My default is, how do I underwrite the deal? How do I finance it? How do I create liquidity? How do I go buy something? How do I go sell something? How do I just create like liquidity, always having liquidity, and then, investing it, reallocating it, building something, buying something. Like, I'm addicted to not the deal, but the mission.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable being accountable to my teammates for sourcing capital and resources.
I love it. Other than the understanding that you will grow through the journey, right, as part of the experience. What is it about that aspect of business that is so exciting for you? Is it the stakes, or is it the pressure, or have you thought about that?
It's who I can become. It's literally who I and my group can become year after year, day after day. And I think that's what we're here to do, to evolve and become as much as we can be. Like there are no limits outside of belief systems, and when you can crack through a belief system, everything changes for you. So when you change, everything changes. And I find it satisfying to set goals that seem unreachable because it forces me to think laterally and become more than I currently am to achieve it. And that's it. And it's not about getting paid or winning. It's about the self-fulfillment and I hate the expression personal growth, but like who I grow and who I become by chasing these targets. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not even a hobby or a passion. It's literally my mentality every day I wake up. It's what can I do to become at least 1% better than I was yesterday? And the compound effect of becoming 1% better every day is transformational. We are building an enterprise that, we're planning 150, 200 year playbooks. This isn't about now. Like, the business that I'm in, this group called Board Sports Global, which we have a lot of different pillars in it, from real estate to events to aviation. Like, there's a lot in our business model, but it's a vertical, kind of like a Vanguard or a BlackRock or, that type of business model. But yeah, we're planning to be around for 150, 200 years.
Wow. That is, that's interesting. And it's incredible. So despite having multiple verticals, is there some type of connection to sports or to sports?
All of it.
All of it's connected.
Everything's tied to sports.
Okay.
Everything's tied to board sports. Even more interesting. Like, everything's got a derivative associated with surf, skate, or snowboarding.
Okay.
And so we're either building skate parks, surf parks, ski resorts.
Gotcha.
And if we're building that, we might as well build a community. So we might as well build a restaurant or a hotel or single family or multifamily. And then you need to have hospitality. And then you need to have other services, products, and amenities to support the community that's going to spend their time there. And so the real estate play gets bigger when you think at it at scale.
Gotcha.
And then it's like, okay, shit, how do we get our people here? And this is where like aviation comes into play, because now we develop projects where there aren't international airports necessarily. And you have to fly here, then drive an hour and a half or 2 hours or 3 hours to get there. If you use scheduled aircraft and it's scheduled aviation like United or Delta or Alaska and all those, airlines. So then there's a whole business on private aviation and general aviation and charter, where you don't have to charter a G650 and pay $50,000 an hour to fly it. You can charter a Pilatus, which is a single prop or a turboprop, and it's $2,000 an hour divided by 8 seats, and it makes sense. So you can fly direct to your regional airport. So there's lots of ways to reimagine hospitality and travel and logistics when you're the real estate architect.
Yeah, fascinating.
And then you have the whole vertical, because now you're thinking about, how do I get people to the locations and the destinations we built? And then what's their experience like when they're there? And what can we introduce them to while we have their attention? And what product and services should they experience? And what's the hospitality culture?
Right.
And like, that was amazing. I want to go back to another one of their projects or one of their properties, or be involved in one of their initiatives. And then that's where you attract the capital, not chase capital. I don't believe in chasing. I believe in attracting.
Explain that a little bit. I think that's really interesting. Explain that a little bit, if you don't mind. What's the difference?
My belief system is that if you develop value and you offer reasonable propositions, more interestingly, valuable propositions, you will attract customers, you will attract demand, you will attract capital, as opposed to trying to chase and sell and seduce.
Gotcha.
If you create value and you have integrity and you have, the right ingredients that are going to present something that's sustainable and valuable and, again, integrate, you're going to attract good partners.
Yeah.
You're going to retain good partners. You're going to attract capital. You're going to remain competitive. You're going to be sustainable. You're going to be perpetual. You're going to grow organically. And then you're going to attract more capital so you can grow faster than organic growth. And it's like, holy shit, it all makes sense.
Yeah, it really does.
You can do really, really well by doing really, really good. And I don't mean that romantically, because we're very agenda driven.
Sure.
And so you have to go in with intentions.
Right.
Right. And if you develop quality, I wholeheartedly believe that you will attract the right resources to be effective, efficient, and sustainable.
Yeah. Look, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and I love that mindset in terms of, look, if you build something that truly does deliver value on all the level, at every level that is necessary, then people, whether it's capital or customers, are going to want to be a part of that, right? And that's why I wanted you to dig in a little bit more, is because that, at least in my opinion, that is sort of the ultimate place to get, right? When other people want to be part of what you're doing, as opposed to, like you said, having to go and ask or chase. Value attracts value, right?
It's a privilege. I don't take it for granted. I'm so aware of how grateful and privileged we are to be able to choose who we work with and choose which capital we onboard.
Wow.
It's a privilege. But I believe that can be a situation that most all could find themselves in when they reframe how you perceive set of circumstances.
Well, look, I mean, it's been clear since the minute I started talking with you, you're extraordinarily self-aware, but you're also extremely humble, right? For somebody as talented and successful as you to maintain that level of humility, is extraordinary in and of itself. How do you remain humble despite all of the things that you have achieved and are achieving at the moment?
Frankly, it's because I work with a group of people and we're continuously doing hard things, and hard things keep you grounded. Holy shit, this is hard. And it keeps you honest and it keeps you accountable. And then when it starts to lighten up, you're like, you almost get anxious because you're missing something and or you're not pushing hard enough. And so I was raised of the mindset where you never feel like you're doing enough, and you can always do one more rep. You can always run one more lap, or you can always do another set of push-ups, or you can always say thank you to another customer, or you can always just give a little more, or you can always just hold your breath a little longer. And it's like, shit, this is getting really hard. And then you just mentally tell yourself that it's not. And then you just continue to keep going. And there's never space for, like, I'm not searching for happiness. I'm chasing fulfillment. Respectfully, I think those are two materially different things. I try not to conflate them. And I also try not to confuse the two. I am pursuing satisfaction and fulfillment, and things aren't always easy, and the shit's not always happy. It's often hard.
Amen.
And I am grateful for that because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me humbled. And what it does, more importantly than anything else, it reminds me that I have more in my tank. Like, I'm nowhere near the point of burnout, but I often get exhausted because I push so hard, but I've just become more resilient.
Wow.
Those are two different things, burnout and exhaustion. Because of sport, I was taught to train to exhaustion because when it's game time, I'm fit for duty.
So what's burnout?
Where people want to quit, and I mean this respectfully too, because it's a real thing. I think people want to quit. I don't like quitting. You can stop and pause and reevaluate, but we don't quit. I don't believe in that. I believe in exiting, but quitting's different than an exit.
Sure.
Right? I believe, because it's all about belief systems, I believe 99,9,000% of it's all about mindset and mentality. And so I take that seriously. I take it, it's a religion. So we do more work on our mental capacity and how we, reprogram our mindset. And you probably heard of this, like brain elasticity, maybe. Like you can, and myelin, like the myelin in your brain. Like I'm a deep believer in, again, being able to reprogram belief systems and program new belief systems. And I've learned, for me at least, when I take that approach to life, I never have enough time. I'm never tired. I'm never ready to quit. It's always exciting. The challenges are opportunities. The opportunities are blessings. And it's not always, I'm not trying to sell like light and rainbows. It gets dark and hard. But that's where the magic happens, in my opinion. And when I feel like it's bleak, I have to reimagine and be grateful that, I'm here, other people aren't. Like, there's a lot of people that don't have my problems.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that we kind of reference our success based on the problems we're solving.
That's interesting. Like, that's really interesting.
It's a really different way of looking at life. Like, I'm worried about this set of issues when somebody up here is worried about a different set of issues. Like, Steph Curry's trying to win his 7th NBA title, and some people are trying to win their first one.
Right. Right.
Some people are trying to win their second one back to back. Some people are trying to make the team.
Yeah.
Some people are trying to raise $1 million. Some people are trying to tax shelter $100 million. Like, right. They're all different issues.
Right. No, I love that. That's really interesting. I also love what you said about mindset, and I like the way that you put it. And I couldn't agree more. I think so much of life and what we make of it has to do with our mindset and our approach, whether in business or for my kids or whatever. I'm curious how, since I think we both believe that mindset is so critical, what do you use as a reference? How do you check yourself to make sure that you are in the right mindset or utilizing the right mindset and that you haven't sort of gone astray with your mindset?
There's a couple different things. Like I'm privileged to have a couple kids to raise. I love raising my children. They hold me accountable. That's a big part of it. I consciously surround myself with people who are exponentially better, and I use that word intentionally, better off by a set of metrics than I am. Like I'm always looking up at people, not looking down on people or looking around me. It's like I want to make sure that, okay, I can learn from these mentors, whether they're younger than me, older than me, same color, same age, different rate. Like it doesn't matter. As long as they're doing things that I haven't done yet, I can learn from them. And so I also try to surround myself with people who are doing and or have done what I'm trying to accomplish myself personally. Right? The content I listen to, whether it's music, podcasts, videos, the things I read, I'll reread the same thing 10,000 times so I can become that philosophy. As opposed to just reading it for my entertainment or escapism. I study and read things so I can become it. And there's a couple have you heard of a book called Outwitting the Devil?
I'm not.
There's a book called Outwitting the Devil that'll change everything for you or anyone who ever reads it. It's so aggressive. There's a before you read it and after you read it. Just when you read it, you'll understand it. And if you listen to it on Audible, it's even more dramatic because it's the devil talking to a human.
Okay.
And the devil's telling the human how he runs the world. She, it, whatever you call the devil. And you also learn what the devil is and what the devil isn't. And it's nothing more than a mindset. And it creates this scenario where you're either drifting or you're not drifting, meaning you're drifting or you're intentional. And those are the only two mindsets to be in ever. You're either drifting or you're not drifting, like ever. So that book's fascinating. There's another book that was transformational for me. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it teaches you to think bigger. And as you think bigger, everything gets easier. Because in order to get there, you got to go through all this. If you're just thinking this, that's a limiting belief system.
Yep.
And then you can imagine there's a whole category of literature around those two principles. You got like Atomic Habits.
Yep.
You got The Way of the Superior Man. You have, a lot of different books in that personal development category. But those two books for me keep me honest. And to your question, how do I remain mindful? It's the stuff I listen to every day and the people I spend my time with. They don't allow me to make excuses and there's no time to slip.
I love that. So you've built your world in a way that won't let you get outside of where you want to be.
Yeah. And it's hard. And I love it.
I love that you love it. I love that you love it and that you're not afraid to say that you love it, right? Because that isn't what is expected.
I don't encourage anybody to want to be me. But there's people who are accomplished more than I have. And I don't want to be that one person. I want to be a collection of all these things that I believe in because I have my own manifesto and my own belief system. And I'm fortunate to have attracted people who are doing things and working hard and believe in a lot of the same ethos that I do. And I just steal their advice. I don't even ask to borrow it. I just take it. I don't ask for advice. I steal advice.
Yeah. I love that.
And I do it shamelessly. And I'm grateful that I got good people around me who are willing to share and be vulnerable and teach me.
Yeah. Look, amen. I mean, it reminds me, I've got 5 young kids, and it reminds me, it's so easy to become what we surround ourselves with. And particularly with kids, who they're surrounded with, their friends, their sort of their network can end up sort of defining who they are if they are drifting as opposed to, being intentional, of course, with the help of their parents when they're 5 or 6 years old. But, I wish we had 5 hours because I would love to unpack everything that you just said in the last 20 minutes because you're spitting a lot of pearls there, and I am impressed. Would be an understatement. You've got things.
None of us are original.
Well,
none of us are original. I've learned it all from other people.
Well,
I've read, people I met. None of us are original.
Well, but for what it's worth, it's not just the pearls that have been spit, but also the way in which they're delivered. So you
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, you've got things figured out, and your energy is extraordinary. So I'm gonna ask a question, and it's meant to. It may sound odd, right? But it's meant to sort of dig at a lot of your fundamental beliefs in the importance of sports. Why? Let's take board sports, not just sports. Why are board sports important?
So the reason I like sport is because it sounds harsh, but there's winners and there's losers. You get beat and you don't quit, you learn, but you get beat and you win. And I personally enjoy that space. I also believe in delayed gratification. I think sport teaches you that. You have to win 92 basketball games to win the championship in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
You have to battle for 90 minutes plus stoppage time to win a game in soccer, right? To play lacrosse, you get cracked with the stick, and hockey, you get checked against the boards, and like none of it's easy. It's all hard. And then there's no room for complaint because you get cut or you get dunked on and you become a postcard or a poster or a playing card, you know what I mean? And you get embarrassed. And you have this like alter ego gladiator character that comes out of you, and it's in a safe environment because it's on the court. But you transfer that off the court sometimes in your day to day, but you're in a arena and it's got rules and regulations, but it's kind of like best player rises to the top. And I like what that fosters in the human DNA personally. I know some people think life's supposed to be fun and jolly and not everything's about a contest and there's not a win-lose frame. I hear all that. And where I am in my life right now, which could change later because things change, but I'm comfortable accepting and owning authentically what I believe in right now. And I believe in competition, not for the fact of beating people down, but what competition does at an inspirational level. It makes me want to be better. And it makes me want to be better for my family. It makes me want to be better for my community. Makes me want to be better for my teammates and those who don't know me. And I think that the better I become, the stronger the legacy becomes. And not about my personal legacy. I believe in board sports culture. So if I can be the best I can be, and I can strive every day to become better, even if it's only 1% better every day, I feel like I'm contributing to the bigger picture. Because remember, I'm working on building a 150-year program that's not about Brandon. It's about a philosophy and a way of living and a lifestyle, which I think is manifested through this board sports culture. Unique about board sports culture is all you do is fail until you accomplish it. For instance, it'll take you 10,000 hours to learn how to do a switch kickflip on a skateboard. There's no shortcut. You have to practice. And you can't cry to your mom or say, Timmy's skateboard's better than my skateboard, or the weather's better in Chicago than it is in the Philippines. Like, there's none of that. Like, it's practice and learn how to do the trick and learn how to do the maneuver and put it in and fall and smack your shin and fall down and fail over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then you land it. And that's a game changer. And there's not a lot, like a slim minority of the population has that wherewithal in them. And I think that if board sport athletes were celebrated and given the opportunity or made aware that what they've gone through to get to where they are, if they applied that at scale or in a particular niche or category, whether you're an architect or a runway model, it'll give you a distinct and unique advantage to the rest of the species who are competing in that space. And I actually wholeheartedly believe that athletes are different. And I think that successful athletes are different. And I think that the underdog's different.
Mm.
And I think you're better off after you've won and been knocked down and have to do it again. And I think you're better off if you can do it 3 times in a row. And I think you're better off if you've done it 3 times in a row, lost 3 years in a row, and won the 4th year.
Mm.
And I think the harder it gets, the better you become.
Mm. Oh, I love that. I was going to ask you, do you think that there is more in sport? Do you think there's more to learn after a win or after a loss?
Both. There's no difference. It's all the same. It's about that you become better. And then if you and your teammate became better, if you and the team became better. Because there's no winning, losing. I don't believe in that. I don't think there's any polarity. It's all the same difference. If you win, you did something right or somebody did something wrong, but learn from both. If you lost, you did something right, you did something wrong. Somebody did something right, somebody did wrong. Learn from both. Just be a student all the time and grow and evolve and develop. Knowing that if you keep winning, somebody's chasing you. That's inspirational for me. I'm okay winning because I know somebody's pushing because they want to be me or in my seat, and it's going to keep me honest. Because there's the visual, apparent rivalry, and then there's the people in the shadows who are just waiting for me and the team to slip, and then there's snipers shooting from the rooftops, and there's snakes and thieves in the weeds. I love it.
Yeah, so it goes back to mindset, right? I guess with that mindset, you may have technically lost, quote unquote, the game or the match on the scoreboard at the end of the day, but if you improved your 1% or made the team better, then you've actually really won.
And we moved the goalposts. There's no winning. There's no losing. You won this season. We're playing for 4. You won 3 out of 4. We're playing for 7. You know what I mean? Like, we just continue to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
And it literally makes us better.
Yeah. No, that's inspiring. Well, so fast forward 150 years from now, you guys have been wildly successful in fulfilling your mission. What does that look like?
A philosophy. It's all a philosophy. Success is all predicated on the goals and targets we set. And the mission is to program our collective to think that anything's possible. There is no losing. There's no failing. It's about remaining united and then getting bigger and stronger. I use quotes. I don't know if this is a videotape or what, or we're just an audio podcast.
It's got video.
But as long my personal mission is to get more people to understand that when they change, everything changes for them. And that's not original either. That's from a guy named Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. If you YouTube Jim Rohn, that's this fundamental philosophy. When you change, everything changes for you. Everything changes for you. So as soon as you change, it'll all change. All of it. Not some of it, not most of it. Everything changes. And that word everything is critical. And as soon as we get our people to understand that if they change, everything will change for them. And as soon as they understand that when they change, it all changes, anything's possible. And therefore, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. That's amazing that you say that. Look, I've had a lot of folks on this podcast, a lot of former Navy SEALs, former Green Berets, Delta. I mean, a lot of people that have done some extraordinary things, just like yourself. And a recurring theme that continues to come up is, look, whether it's in business, you're never going to be able to lead any better or higher than your own internal leadership or your own internal limits. And so if you want to do something extraordinary, you got to change yourself and improve yourself, and the result or whatever it is you put your mind to will follow, but that it starts within you. And from, entrepreneurs or like I said, former Navy SEALs, it's been really fascinating to me, this recurring theme of how you got to get yourself right. And if you can get yourself in the right mindset, health, et cetera, then other things become possible. And so sorry for that little soapbox moment, but it just, it surprises me each time that highly successful folks like you, I think it's something that isn't obvious or apparent to a lot of people, even the ambitious, like the students of leadership, the ones that want to, or that like maybe will be, or fulfill their missions, their objectives, and in the eyes of others, be subjectively successful, right? I think it's something that I hope this podcast continues to sort of tease out, is these nuances about how to optimize and get in a position to be able to achieve the extraordinary. And getting right with yourself is something that I may have to do a whole nother podcast on. But it means more. It means a lot coming from somebody that's been, in the arena. So it's fascinating. So does the 100 years from now, 150 years from now, what have you, whatever, is part of that mission or part of that goal to have board sports be play a larger role in mainstream culture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. I think a couple different things happen. I think that it's going to be here in perpetuity now. Board sports will be, for a couple different reasons. I think the chairlift transformed mountain culture. I think that was a tremendous innovation that continues to be improved upon and will forever and always keep mountain sports alive. Ski, snowboard in the winter, mountain bike in the summer, and all the things that the chairlift unlocked. I audaciously, and it's not even audacious anymore, I wholeheartedly, just like the chairlift, believe in surf pool technology. I think the surf pool technology is going to be a tool and a vehicle for socioeconomic development, just like the golf course did.
Really?
And I think that communities globally will onboard this surf pool tech. Right now, it's mysterious and uncomfortable and odd because there's only a bundle of them around the planet. But sooner than later, municipalities and institutional capital and communities at scale will understand the impact that these surf pools will offer culture, community, and society. Everything from learning how to swim to just having beach culture to drinking, tequila to having surf contests and skate parks and building your house next to it and doing $100 million real estate developments. Like, these things they're game changers. And similar to what happened with chairlifts in the mountain resort communities and what golf courses did globally, I wholeheartedly believe we will be historically correct on the impact of surf pool technology on the planet for the next 100, 150 years plus. Wow. I think it's the golf course.
Wow.
And I think the human, like the community development, the youth development, the community development at scale across demographics, sport, lifestyle, leisure, real estate, hospitality, wealth, disadvantaged, like the entire ecosystem of life on Earth. I seriously, and I'm laughing because I'm seeing it manifest, wholeheartedly believe that it'll be a more efficient, more effective manifestation reflected against this chairlift and the golf course.
Wow.
And if you understand what the chairlift and the golf course did to community, and you overlay that 200 years against the next 200 years, and you look at the surf pool technology as a agent of change, I hope this video gets played back in 20 years from now. It's like, not that Brandon was right. It's not about a Brandon thing. I'm a reflection of the people I spend my time with.
Sure.
Yeah. So this has nothing to do with Brandon and his ego. This is a reflection of a collective consciousness.
Sure.
But I sincerely think that this surf pool technology is going to change things.
Wow, that's fascinating. So for the listener, and if I'm understanding correctly, when you say that the surf pool technology would come to golf course, I mean, people, cultures or certain parts of society use the golf course as a central anchor from which to build community around, right?
Correct.
And what I hear you saying is that that surf pool technology will be as sort of disruptive or as critical, and that people will build communities and cultures around this surf pool, a surf pool, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, and I'm being picky, and it's not to be difficult.
Please.
I don't
correct
like
me.
the word disruptive.
Okay.
I think it's accretive. It's value add. So I think the surf pool tech will come in, and you'll be able to see economic activity, and people will flourish and prosper.
Sure.
Even the, what's the word they use? Inclusiveness. Even if you can't afford a $100 million jet, flying to a private surf park, the fact that there's a surf pool in locations that used to not have access to coastlines.
Sure.
That's an unlock.
Absolutely. And by disruptive, at least as intended, was meant. It disrupts the traditional choices that you would have in terms of where you might want to put your roots, right? Or what you might look at in terms of, well, I want to live in a golf course community, or I want to live in Park City so I can have access to the mountain sports with a chairlift.
And I think that hotels are going to have surf pools, communities are going to have surf pools.
Oh, wow.
Municipalities are going to have surf pools. You're already seeing private gated communities with surf pools. You're seeing public parks, water parks. They're going to be just as common as a golf course or a tennis court or a swimming pool. It's inevitable. Awesome. Because of the experience that they offer and the cash flows they generate. It is inevitable. It's inevitable. And as a byproduct of introducing beach culture or surf pools to communities globally at scale, because of the socioeconomic impact that they offer, you're going to have more people on and or at a minimum familiar with board sports. Yeah,
I love it. Look, this is the heart and soul of what I'm trying to do with Boundary Breakers. Look, we recently had a guest on that has this technology that is changing retail storefront windows into interactive marketing experiences, for lack of a better way to put it. Right, changing the existing infrastructure or built environment around us, and it sounds like this is going to have an even bigger impact in terms of where people live, what they do recreationally, but not only recreationally, it sounds like, right? In terms of the choices that they make for where to live. Have there been, for the benefit of frankly me and the audience, have there been recent advances in the technology that have accelerated the adoption of the surf pool?
Yeah, I mean, they're always innovating. So I look at the surf pool tech as a platform.
Okay.
I know people throw buzzwords around and platforms, whatever, like a platform. It's not just the tech. I think that when you introduce the surf pool technology, and the surf pool technology is a culmination of a lot of bits and pieces that make it work.
Okay.
So you say, has the tech been innovated and improved upon? Yeah, like they make new springs and a new water pump, and the filtration system's better. Like everything is better. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
Everything's getting better because it's a vehicle and a platform that's going to continue to evolve and improve upon.
Yeah.
Like it's inevitable because there's always something to optimize. And then as you introduce this platform, different enterprise opportunities, different lifestyle choices, different people, different experiences. You're going to have, new species of fungus show up because you've never had a wet environment before in a particular ecosystem. So literally everything's going to change. And I know that sounds silly, but it's not, though, because that's what's going to happen with this thing. Like when you put in a golf course, everything changes, right? If you put in a chairlift, everything changes. Like that's why you have to do traffic studies and environmental impact reports and noise pollution, like all the things. When you put in a piece of infrastructure, everything changes. Literally, it all changes. So this is one of those things where it's going to be a historical phenomenon. Like, holy shit, once upon a time, there were no surf parks. And now there's these surf pools everywhere. And people are going to scratch their head and forget they never existed because they're going to be as common as a golf course.
I love that. Well, hopefully people will be looking at this
inevitable.
podcast. Yeah. I tell you, look, and I don't say this isn't lip service. I believe you. I believe you based on, I mean, it would take me 30 minutes to sincerely explain for all the reasons that I believe you, but I believe you. I think we have like 2 or 3 minutes left. I want to be respectful of your time. So just 2 final things. For people that want to learn more about surf pool technology, is there a certain place that you can direct them, or does your business have resources?
Yeah, like all the surf pool stuff. A good friend of mine named John Luff started this thing called Surf Park Central.
Okay.
Couldn't be a better name for it. Surf Park Central. All the things you need to know about surf parks have been centralized in this website.
I love it.
In this platform called Surf Park Central. Those guys are great. And they do a conference every year called Surf Park Summit. But Surf Park Central has become, and I'm stoked for John, he's developed the most informed repository of information dedicated to surf parks. Awesome. So that's a great destination to learn more and discover about the surf park industry.
Okay. Excellent. Surf Park Central. So we'll make sure.
Surf Park Central.
We'll make sure everybody goes there. And so if you have, in the last remaining little bit of time we have, I want to make sure to give you time. Is there something that you feel is misunderstood or isn't as widely known as you would like about action sports or board sports that you would like a minute or two to communicate?
No, I think it all happens in divine time.
Okay.
I think we're exactly where we're supposed to be. I think that more and more people are going to discover it as time passes, and the value's going to go up. For people like me, the early adopter who believes significantly in the category, the fewer people who know about it right now doesn't concern us because the arbitrage delta is huge. The fewer people who want to have a crack just leaves more abundance for us to explore.
Yeah. Okay.
At the same time, the more we do, the more comps become available, and the more we're going to inspire others to participate, and then the tide rises. So there's no downside at all. It's only accretive and upside.
Gotcha.
So if you don't participate, that's okay, because there's more of an arbitrage for us to capture. And when you do participate, we love it, and we'll share all the things we know to help you be successful, because as you become more successful, more people hear about it and discover it. And as we all become more successful, the value goes up. And as we all become more successful, the opportunities become more abundant. So there's literally no downside to this.
Look, that's a hell of a damn example of mindset. What you just said about the industry, the opportunity should be a case study in the way that how mindset can be critical to the way that people look at the world. But that's sort of a little bit neither here nor there. Last final question, and this was a little off the wall, but I asked this to every guest. So, God forbid anything like this ever happened, and certainly no one was injured or anything like that. But it looks like you're in your office, right? So your office catches fire, and the authorities tell you've got like 20 seconds to run in and grab one thing before it's too late. What is it what do you grab?
My phone. I don't need much. I travel light. I literally don't need much. Well, my phone's good because I can make a few phone calls, send a couple emails, but I wouldn't panic. And I'm lucky our office is an airport. We're at a FBO, a private airport.
Oh,
so
wow.
If the building got on fire, I could jump outside and get on the jet.
Nice. Well, look, hey, my answer to that question was my laptop, right? So I'm right there. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
I don't use a laptop anymore. I don't even have a laptop. I'm on my iPad, so I can either call and I just do everything from my phone.
I love it. Well, look, man, you just made us a big fan of you and what you're doing, and I look forward to sort of keeping a lookout to see what you guys are doing next. And
hey, we're building a surf pool in Atlanta.
Are you? Where?
It's called Surf ATL.
Surf ATL.
Google it. Look it up.
Okay.
A great guy named Spencer Broom is the developer. So shout out to Spencer.
Okay.
And he started this community called Surf ATL. And they started off doing wake surfing and coastal surf trips and trips down to the Central America and stuff. And they've rallied and raised some money, and they locked up a site. It's called Surf ATL.
Okay. Surf.
They're on Lake Lanier.
Okay. On Lake Lanier.
58-acre development. It's amazing. Great group of guys and gals. They've been working on this project for a couple of years now. I'm lucky to be part of it. So
that is great.
In your hometown.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'll look it up, and then I'll see if we maybe can get somebody from Surf ATL on the podcast to tell us about it.
Yes.
Would love that. Okay.
I'll put Spencer on an email with you.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Look, you're an incredible human, and we are better off for having spent the last hour with you. So thank you so much.
And I appreciate that. It's been a privilege.
Well, the privilege is ours, and I'll do my best to stay in touch, Brandon.
Please do.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Don't forget, everybody, you can find Boundary Breakers in a lot of places. You can watch our episodes on the Boundary Breakers YouTube channel, or you can listen to each podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other major podcasting platforms. Thanks for listening.